Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. James Gunn has finally decided to cast the role of Green Lantern John Stewart for his DC Cinematic Universe. Now, in DC Studios' DC Cinematic Universe, John Stewart is going to be portrayed by Black British actor Aaron Pierre, and he is set to star in the Lantern series opposite Kyle Chandler, who will be playing Hal Jordan. And in the Lantern series, John Stewart will be the rookie subordinate to a more seasoned Hal Jordan and Kyle Chandler, and they will be working as intergalactic policemen in the series. Now, the casting of Black British actor Aaron Pierre has caused a lot of controversy among all of those in fandom, especially Black fandom, where many in Black fandom are having a lot of heated debates regarding the overall casting of Aaron Pierre for the role of Green Lantern John Stewart. Now, this whole issue that many in Black fandom have is related partially due to the fact that Aaron Pierre is a light-skinned black man, and the character of John Stewart is a dark-skinned character, and many in Black fandom are upset about the casting of this light-skinned Black British actor in the role of a Black American character who has been presented as dark-skinned ever since his first appearance in the late 60s or early 70s. Now, the John Stewart character has always been presented as a dark-skinned character, and many in Black fandom really don't like the idea of a light-skinned actor playing the role, and for them, they feel that this is basically changing the character overall because the appearance of this light-skinned man doesn't fit into the source material. Now, this is basically the whole light-skin, dark-skin debate that has plagued many Black fantasy creators over time, including myself, and it creates a lot of back and forths, and really it's the big problem for many people. Some are upset because they believe that it basically is DC basically taking liberties with the source material, and others believe that this is Warner Brothers and DC Studios basically looking to try to lighten up a darker character to make them more appealing to larger audiences. And some, again, feel like it's just basically taking away from the overall content of the character with this adaptation by changing the color of that character's skin. That's what some people believe as related to the skin tone of this actor being cast, and many say that there should be a dark-skinned actor who should have been cast in this role because that's what the character looked like in the comics, and others want to use technicalities talking about the overall coloring process of comics because people like Neil Adams insisted that Black characters basically be colored dark skin, and that was the standard. But the whole thing is that the character, it was presented as dark skin in the beginning, and a lot of Black people in Black fandom take deep offense to this character being cast as with a light skinned actor. And in addition to the whole light skin, dark skin debate, what many people in Black fandom are also upset about regarding the casting of Aaron Pierre is they're upset that this Black British actor was cast in the role instead of a foundational Black American actor. This is what many in Black fandom are also upset about because they believe that there were many qualified foundational Black American actors who could have played the role of John Stewart and done a great job at playing the role, but they were denied that opportunity by DC Studios and James Gunn, and many are taking deep offense to this black British actor being cast in the role of Jon Stewart. And some are making the argument that with this black British actor being cast in the role of Jon Stewart, this may possibly have been done because the directors of DC Studios, basically what they want to do is avoid being challenged by foundational black American performers in their presentation of a black character. Now, this is something that was done on the regular on previous DC shows like those of the Berlanti productions, where they cast the actor who played Kid Flash as a black British actor, and it was also done at Lucasfilm with John Boyega being cast as Finn, and in both cases, this was basically done, I believe, basically to avoid having to deal with foundational black American actors pushing back on the portrayal and representation of American black people, and done so that many of their projects could go on without a hitch, without ever being challenged by foundational black American actors who would push back heavily against stereotypes that were presented in the portrayals of Finn and many of the black DC characters on Greg Berlanti shows. Now, in the case of Finn, they basically cast John Boyega, I believe, because he was a black British actor, and as a black British actor, he would not go out here and push back against many of the extremely racist stereotypes that were presented in the sequel trilogy, where Finn was basically a bumbling, stumbling, incompetent character who did, while he was black passively, representing being black, aggressively represented the most incompetent person in the entire series, and he basically did this because he had no understanding of black history or black culture, and because he had no understanding of black history or black culture, what happened was we got one of the worst portrayals of a black character in science fiction and fantasy, and this basically tarnished the entire legacy of John Boyega and made it like he was basically ruined as related to the genre overall. Now, when it came to the Greg Berlanti productions, oftentimes what they would do is go out here and recruit British or Canadian black actors, like the actor who played Kid Flash, and put them in the roles and use them because passively they wanted that representation again, but aggressively what they wanted to do was push and promote anti-black stereotypes in their shows. And that was done with the Kid Flash character on The Flash, where they wanted to take the character that was played by, I believe the guy's name was not Jesse, whatever his name is, Joe West's character, basically take this character who was a father figure to Barry Allen in Joe West, and then turn him into a stereotype guy who didn't take care of his family, basically made it where he had walked out on Wally and his mother, making him the son of a single mother in a passive-aggressive fashion, and also wanted to go out here and make the character, again, fit into anti-black stereotypes. That was what was done on The Flash show by Greg Berlanti, and Greg Berlanti notoriously has been gone out and presented anti-black images and anti-black concepts on his shows like Arrow, where they had Mr. Terrific, the world's third smartest man, reduced to a bumbling, stumbling idiot. And again, all of this was done on Arrow, and it was also done on Riverdale, where they made Chuck Clayton into a black brute who basically was lying about having sex with white women. All of this was done at Berlanti Productions as related to these adaptations of DC and Archie Comics characters, and what this did was basically tarnish the image of these adaptations of these black characters, and was allowed to be done because these foreign-born black actors did not push back against these stereotypes and did not say anything about these stereotypes, and because they did not speak out against these stereotypes, this was done, again, because they knew that the foreign-born actors did not know about Black American culture, and this is what they were able to do with with these images of Black people. Again, passively presenting the representation of Black people, but aggressively promoting anti-Black imagery inside of this media, and pushing anti-Black imagery in the subtext as related to the presentation of the image of Black people. And that was what was done in the past over at Warner Brothers and over at places like Lucasfilm. And I fear what's going to happen on Lanterns is that we may get the same type of presentation of anti-Black images in the same passive-aggressive way that we got on Greg Berlanti's TV shows like Arrow, The Flash, and many other shows that he presented, like Riverdale, where Black people were not presented in a positive light. I mean, when I look at the casting of Aaron Pierre, it fits this ongoing trend of going out here and casting a UK or a foreign-born Black actor to play a Black American role, because Jon Stewart is a Black character that comes from Detroit, Michigan, and you would think you would want to go find a foundational Black American actor to portray that role. I mean, we've got lots of great foundational Black American actors who can portray that role, but they cast a Black British actor, and that's a red flag for me in the casting of Jon Stewart. You got a light-skinned British guy playing the role of Jon Stewart. That's a major red flag for me. That means there may be some possible chicanery, especially when I look at the premise of this show, where we've got Hal Jordan, the white man who has more experience than the Black man, and that means that we may possibly be getting a show filled with stereotypes where the Black man is presented as a bumbling, stumbling, incompetent character, and I'm hoping that's not the case, because on the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited shows, we got the best portrayal of Jon Stewart ever presented, with when Paul Dini, Bruce Timm, and the late great Dwayne McDuffie gave us the Jon Stewart that basically became the gold standard. Now, that Jon Stewart was not the one in the comics. This was a brand new adaptation, and I could see a lot of Dwayne McDuffie's influence on that character, because we got a Jon Stewart who basically was a very competent and capable man, in him being a Marine, in him being disciplined, in him being very strong and confident, and him being a major player in Justice League in major storylines that not only involved him, but also involved the character of Hawkgirl, and that romance, again, never was in the comics, but it was made for television, and it became a major part of many millennials' lives. I mean, many millennials growing up, this basically gave them a positive image of a Black man and showed us Jon Stewart again as a hero that was actually seen as more positive than Hal Jordan. I mean, Jon Stewart on Justice League and Justice League Unlimited was far more interesting than Hal Jordan, which basically, when it comes to Hal Jordan, he's been struggling for about 40 years. I mean, with Hal Jordan, only diehard white guys really like Hal Jordan, because I remember in the late 80s that character really struggled under the bad writing of Gerard Jones, and it was so bad that basically it was Kyle Rayner had to come in. I mean, Kyle Rayner sold more comics than Hal Jordan, and in the case of the 70s, they had to bring Oliver Queen to come in to try to save the Green Lantern book, because Hal Jordan is a very boring character. And basically what happened in the 70s was, again, Oliver Queen surpassed Hal Jordan and was the only guy keeping the book alive. And in the 80s, they had to bring in Guy Gardner because Jordan was so boring. And when they did the book over with the three Lanterns, again, they tried to put Jordan as a center focus, but he was a boring character, and things got so bad with Gerard Jones' horrible writing. This is where Kyle Rayner had to be brought in. And again, Kyle Rayner basically was a better selling Lantern, and Jon Stewart was, again, in the comics, he struggled too, but the whole thing is the Justice League show showed us a much cooler character. And again, he got basically surpassed once again. Now, some people will say, oh, the Jeff Johns, Ethan Van Sciver era, but still was nothing compared to Kyle's numbers. I mean, Kyle outsold Hal Jordan, and he was the best-selling Lantern overall, and Jon Stewart sold even more merchandise when he was a part of the Justice League. So when I look at the overall big picture of this whole Green Lantern series, I don't know if they're going to be trying to pull some stuff with this whole adaptation, because I know when it comes to these adaptations, I'm very wary of them when they have black characters as a part of collective universes, because usually what they do with black characters is just basically have them as tokens or in the background, and they really don't give these characters the development or the story that they should get, because when it comes to most of these series and these movies, they want the white guy to be the center focus of the series, and the casting of a foreign-born black basically fits into that narrative of making the white guy appear to be the center focus, like it was on Arrow and even on The Flash, where they basically, they passively gave us a black kid Flash, but aggressively what they did with that character was basically minimize and marginalize that character. Now, if that had been the white Wally West, I think we would have gotten a much deeper expansion and development of that character. But what we got, because we had a foreign-born actor portraying the role, was the character basically just faded into the background and wound up disappearing. And the same thing happened over on other shows, like Chuck Clayton, who made his appearance as this brute caricature and basically wound up disappearing once again. And then with the whole thing with Mr. Terrific, he was presented as a clown. And again, when it came to the presentation of black actors on these shows, it didn't really present a positive picture of a black hero. And I fear that may be the thing that happens here, because all the elements are there. All the elements are there for another bad presentation or bad adaptation of a character. You've got a light-skinned black actor playing a dark-skinned character. You've got a black British performer playing in the role of a dark-skinned character and playing a character again on a show where the white guy is presented as the lead. So this ain't really looking too good for me as related to this casting of this guy as Jon Stewart. And again, just really seems to me like they're just trying to put their agenda over the source material, putting their agenda, their anti-black agenda, over the source material. That's what it's looking like to me with this casting of Aaron Pierre. And it basically takes another job away from a black American actor who could have basically portrayed this character and made this character into an icon. But when it comes to these companies like Warner Brothers and DC Comics, they want you looking at the white character, and that's possibly why they chose this black British actor over an American performer. Now, if you want to check out my first full comic featuring a black male hero, you can pick up John Haynes at Death's Door on Lulu.com, and this is a 32-page comic adaptation of the John Haynes series story, John Haynes at Death's Door, and it was a 2022 Kickstarter, but I'm sharing it with everyone out here, and you can pick up your copy in paperback format on Lulu.com, or you can get a digital copy right now for just $3.99 on Amazon.com on Kindle or Comixology. And you can pick up my other digital comic, Esteem No Good Deed. You can find that comic on Kindle for 99 cents. And you can also find it in the Esteem series book, Esteem Blast from the Past, in paperback. And you can check out all the action-packed fantasy in the whole African-American fantasy supernatural universe of the SJS Direct universe in paperback and Kindle format. And you can pick up books in the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, and books like those in the Spinsterella trilogy, and other books like my vampire novel, Eternal Night. You can find all those books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com, and you can check out an entire universe of black characters in a supernatural world and that's similar to the Marvel or the DC universe, and a continuity that's easy to follow because every story is an entry point. You can find that all over Amazon.com, and you can also find it at other online booksellers in paperback like Barnes & Noble and other online booksellers all over the world, and you can also find it in digital format at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me be able to make more videos about science fiction and fantasy, or help me to be able to pay for book covers for the ISIS series, the Steam series, the John Haynes series, or support the Kickstarters of other comic creators so I can do reviews of their books and share them with a larger audience, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, A Steam Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.